Hello, everyone. I'm a little early today. I made it to episode 5 before I had to resort to the energy drinks. So there we go. I made it to episode 5, but it's only week 3, I realize. So yeah. Not the best. Not the best. This is early or late. Today it's late. I stayed up this time. I did not take a power nap. The last couple times I've gone to bed for a couple hours and it just I just feel like a zombie. So I got the energy drink though, so I'm feeling pretty good. Let's do this. Let's do this. Shout out to a couple new members real quick. We got Liz Murphy. Thank you for supporting the channel and becoming a member. And also Bianca Scout. Thank you, Bianca. And some of y'all sent some really early super chats here. MT7 Firefly, thank you for the $5 super chat. Want everyone to have fun. Can't watch with y'all, but it gives me something to look forward to after work. Very cool. That's awesome. Love that you pull this up. You pull up the episode after work. It works good. All you people if you miss out on the stream, you can always pull it up later. It's on demand. Thanks for the super chat. Sending this before I've watched the episode, but do you think we've already met the person who will become the Witch King? If so, who is your top guess? Ooh. Oh. Chat, what do you think? Have we met the Witch King? I don't know. In season 1, I thought Halbrand would have made a nice Witch King, but that went a different direction. Theo, I've seen a lot of Theo. A lot of people guessing Theo. Yeah. I think Theo is the most common. The other Theo theory is King of the Dead, which I kind of lean more toward King of the Dead with him. Uncanny Suit 97 says Farazan Sun. That's like my nightmare scenario. Like, could you imagine the Witch King being that guy? I'm trying to watch my language. That guy. Yeah, the Witch King was human. Yep, he was one of the great kings of men. Yeah. I hope it's not that Kemen guy. Like, what a weak sauce Witch King he would make, right? No. Nah. Aaron, the episode drops here in about 35 minutes. Yeah, Theo being the King of the Dead, I think, has more potential, especially since they had him paired with Isildur there a little bit. Like, that didn't get a whole lot. Like, I feel like you probably still need more than that for that betrayal to hit harder. Yeah. Wasif, do you have a video explaining the whole story of the Witch King? I have a complete Travels of the Ring Wraiths that covers it pretty well. And then I just released one on the history of Angmar. That's a really good one to tell you all about the Witch King's period of time when he rules the realm of Angmar. So between the two, you've got the Witch King covered. Sam Cook, what happened to a Balrog spirit after it dies? That's a good question. Sorry, I'm yawning already. This is really early for me to be yawning. Goodness. Okay. So Balrog spirit, presumably what would happen is probably something similar to what happens to Saruman. So in the books, Saruman dies in the Shire, um, after he's stabbed by Wormtongue, and they see like his spirit, like this mist, rise up from the body and look toward the west, and then a wind gust out of the west blows it away. So that's like the Valar rejecting Saruman's spirit. So he's left to be, he's an immortal being, so he's not like completely ceased to exist, but he's basically like a powerless spirit just left to float. Like Sauron's the same way, actually. It's just never again to return to power after he's defeated at the end of the Third Age. So yeah, presumably something like that would happen to the Balrog after the Balrog dies. So, Ande, thanks for becoming a member. Very cool. Huge shout out to all the supporters, all the super chatters, and everybody watching. Be sure to hit that like button, folks. Much appreciated. We've got 2 minutes until I was scheduled to start. It's pretty good. I don't know if I've ever been early to a live stream before. I wonder if they were going to make Theo Arondir's son, then Bronwyn left the show. I don't know. An interesting thing with elves, I covered this fairly recently. I think it's been in the last month or two. So according to elves, if they mate with someone, they are married as far as elves are concerned. Like those are synonymous. So if that were to happen and Theo was Arondir's son, then as far as elves are concerned, Bronwyn and Arondir would have already been married. There you go. There's your little deep cut trivia for the day. There'll probably be more. But yeah, that was kind of crazy. Bronwyn left the show, especially when she had like 3 fake out deaths at the end of season 1. And then we jump forward to season 2, and it's like, oh yeah, but now she's really dead. I saw a theory where someone said that Adar was the voice of Sauron, even though I know it's supposedly a human. Interesting thought. Oh, you mean the mouth of Sauron? Yeah. Yeah, interesting thought. But yeah, that's a black Numenorian is what they're called. So that's a race of evil Numenorians, basically. That's the black there refers to darkness, not like skin color or anything like that. Black Numenorian means they are part of the group that turn their backs on the Valar and the elves. And that's the group that the mouth of Sauron is descended from. Question: doesn't Farazan become king of Numenor in canon? He does indeed. Yes, indeed. He is Ar-Pharazôn the Golden, king of Numenor. Hey, thank you so much, Christopher Carbaugh, $50 super chat. Man, thank you so much. Let's see what Christopher's got for us here. Theory: Tom Bombadil gives Stranger his blue coat, and he's Palando, not Gand. Alatar is the evil wizard. Palando defeats him by season 5. When Isildur keeps the ring at the end of season 5, 3 meteors bring the remaining Astari to Middle-earth because the blues failed. Ooh. Man, this is a pretty fleshed out theory here. Okay, so let's take this a line at a time. So Tom gives Stranger his blue coat, and he's Palando. I would be all in favor of that. It looks like we've got 60% say Blue Wizard, 33% say Gandalf, 4% say Saruman, 2% say Radagast for who you want the stranger to be. I'm there with you. That's what I've been pulling for, is Blue Wizard. Yeah, I think that would be really fun. I think there's been a lot of hints though that he's Gandalf. Like the whole Grand Elf thing feels way too on the nose for them to not make him Gandalf at this point. Like they've made such a big deal about his name and dropped all these hints that, you know, with the Gand comment and then Grand Elf, like it seems like they're circling the wagons on that, and it's kind of to the point where like as much as I want it to be Blue Wizard, it would be a really odd storytelling trajectory for them to drop all these hints and then make him someone else. So that's where I'm at with that. I can't tell you where I'm at in the 5 stages of grief of mourning the loss of the Blue Wizard and getting Gandalf instead. But maybe I'll move on to acceptance someday. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just be stuck in a perpetual state of grief over not getting the Blue Wizards. Okay, so let's go back to Christopher's theory here. When Isildur keeps the ring at the end of season 5, 3 meteors bring the remaining Astari to Middle Earth because the Blues failed. I really hope they ditched the comet thing, the meteor thing. Like, the Valar should have a better delivery system for their wizards. Like, it should be a red flag. If your wizards can't remember why they were sent, that's probably not great. How can you expect them to do a job that they can't remember? They can't even remember their names. So, yeah. Stick with boats. Hopefully they show up in boats. Is today the day Celebrimbor will take a first step towards his demise? I think he's kind of been doing that. Once he let Anatar in, I think that was step 1. What Balaban, what is your favorite Lord of the Rings movie you like to watch? Oh man. Depends. I don't know. I just kind of go with the flow and see which one I'm feeling at the time, you know? Yeah, it depends on the day. They're all, yeah. The Lord of the Rings movies are so freaking good. But then, you know, it's not just the trilogy. Like, I'll put on some other, you know, once in a while I'll put on the animated Hobbit. I really like the animated Hobbit. That's a fun one. I think of the Hobbit trilogy, the first one is my favorite, definitely. But I've said this before. I will put on Battle of Five Armies and like be totally locked in to get Smaug attacking Lake Town and the death of Smaug, because I think it's legit. And then I usually like go on to like work on stuff, like work on my laptop or something, and then, you know, check in and out for the rest of the film. A lot of it is background, like I put them on in the background and stuff, but anytime I put on Battle of Five Armies, that's the part that sucks me in. It's like right from the beginning, you get Smaug attacking Lake Town, and I'm like, yep, this is the next 15 minutes of my life here. Yeah, so this is, yeah. Expecting the stranger to be Blue Wizard. All the hints so far take us only to Gandalf. That's kind of what I was getting at a few minutes ago. I think, unfortunately, that's the way it's looking. All right, trying to keep an eye on the time here. Got about 20 minutes. 20 minutes. Bring a catapult for the Maya to launch them over. Hey, Christopher Carbaugh, thanks for another super chat, man. How do you feel about the news Hunt for Gollum will be 2 movies, plus Warner Brothers apparently wants to make 2 other character-focused stories, also double movies for 6 total Avengers style? Okay, so this is kind of fun because I haven't had a chance to talk about this much. Not here on the channel, just like privately to other friends and fans and stuff. So the way I read, and I need to go watch the actual clip, but as I was reading about the Hunt for Gollum stuff, it didn't seem like a slam dunk clear cut that Hunt for Gollum specifically was going to be 2 movies. I was thinking that it was going to be Hunt for Gollum and then one other movie. And maybe this is just me guessing because, you know, sometimes, like, especially in this stage where there's not like, it's not like they have scripts that they've sent to Sir Ian and stuff. So, like, maybe they've told Sir Ian they want him for 2 movies, and he knows that the first one is Hunt for Gollum, and so he's, kind of extrapolating that. I don't know. That's just a theory that I have, because I also have a hard time looking at the Hunt for Gollum story and seeing how that gets 2 movies. Unless, like I've said before, it's more focused on Aragorn than Gollum. I think, yeah, too much Gollum in a single movie would be a lot, like, if Gollum is the focus, like, then one movie would be a lot of Gollum. I can't imagine 2. So yeah, we'll see. I'm not entirely convinced that just Hunt for Gollum will be 2 full movies. I kind of like the idea when they were saying they were looking to do 3 self-contained movies. I think that's a smart way to go, rather than to try to, like, do these big multi-movie epics. Like, do single self-contained movies. That's why I think, like, War of the Rohirrim, like, we'll see how it is when it comes out, obviously, but I like the fact that it's a self-contained movie and it doesn't have to have this weight of being a trilogy. Like, it doesn't have to start a trilogy or anything. It can have its beginning, middle, end, and it's just, there's the story. Let's see here. The second part there. Plus, Warner Brothers apparently wants to make 2 other character-focused stories, also double movies for 6 total Avengers style. Yeah, I don't know what those would be. Sorry. Apparently, I'm just gonna be yawning all night tonight. This morning, whatever it is. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just think if you wanted to do something that's multiple movies, why not Angmar War? You know? That seems like such a much more obvious move. Like, I think doing the for lack of a better term, like the X-Men Origins, when they wanted to do like X-Men Origins for all the different characters, and they were like, we're gonna do Wolverine, and then we're gonna do X-Men Origins Magneto, and like just the origin story for all these characters. I don't think that's really necessary. I think you look through the appendices and you find some other things. Like Angmar War is great because, again, it's bigger. Takes place over a much longer period of time. But like War of the Rohirrim, it's self-contained. It has some characters in common with Lord of the Rings, not a whole lot. It has some connections to Aragorn, especially because it's his ancestors that the Witch King's fighting against. But it could have a really different tone, definitely a different outcome than Lord of the Rings. You still have a recognizable villain in the Witch King. Witch King's an awesome villain. Yeah, I think if you're wanting a multi-movie story, that's a pretty good one from the appendices. And I think going outside the immediate War of the Ring or close to War of the Ring timeline would be smart. Thomas Potts, will you ever stream a gameplay of the Lego games? Maybe. I might go back and do that. Fun fact, in the early days of my channel, if you were here for this, let me know in the chat. You can just say I was here. But in the early days, I once played Lego Lord of the Rings for 24 hours straight as a fundraiser. That was a long time ago. I want to say that was at least 3 years ago. Yeah, see, we've got a few people that were here. Yeah, I don't think we've played Lego Hobbit yet. Maybe we'll play Lego Hobbit. Yeah, I'm excited for Tales of the Shires coming out. So we'll definitely do some gameplays with Tales of the Shire whenever that comes out. It's supposed to be later this year. I don't know when for sure. I saw that they were going to do some announcement or something around Hobbit Day. So September 22nd, Tales of the Shire is going to do something. They posted on their socials. So we'll keep an eye out for that. King David, been watching your channel since October 2017. Well, so I think you mean October 2020, probably, because I started in January 2020. Can I save up 100 million and make a Lord of the Rings game? Man, I wish I could. That would be awesome. Michael Real, thanks for the super chat. No Harfoots tonight. Let's go. Is that confirmed? Do we know that? I wouldn't complain. King David. You're just talking about King David. Became a YouTube member. Thanks so much. Matt Stoker's got a good question for the chat. How you feeling about Tom Bombadil so far? What do you guys think? What do you think of Tom? Alquos Finn, thank you so much for joining as a member. Much appreciated, my friend. Yeah, I agree. He's not jolly enough. I do think it's good casting, though. Like, I think Rory Kinnear has like a warmth to him that comes off well for Tom. I just wish he was a bit more upbeat. Jam Art, thank you so much for the super chat. If you could cameo in a Lord of the Rings show or movie, what character would you like to be? I would like you to be something involving a map prop. so like what? I'm like a stand holding a map, or I'm some map guy that just like brings the map out to whoever. Gosh, Thank you for the super chat, by the way. I always envision like if I were to ever be a character in anything Middle Earth, a dwarf, it would probably be a dwarf or a man. Like, but that's that's kind of boring. Like, but I don't know, like a Gondorian or something. But yeah, so probably either a Gondorian or a dwarf makes the most sense, I think. I thought I saw another good question come up here. Oh yeah. Kajitan, thank you so much for the super chat. Fix Rings of Power, change Galadriel to Celebrimbor. Thoughts? Okay, so yeah, this has been one of my kind of theories. I can't remember if I've said this on a stream before or not, but yeah, one of my ideas that I've had is, so after season 1, I thought two of the big switches that I would make of season 1: send Elrond to Numenor instead of Galadriel, because of the connection there between him and his brother, and like the line of Numenor is Elrond's family. Like there's a lot to work with there. Have him befriend Isildur, knowing that Isildur will eventually decide not to destroy the ring. And yeah, I think honestly, I think if the character we've seen of Galadriel is actually Celebrimbor, then it forgives it. I mean, I still think there's just character decisions and stuff that don't really work all that well in season 1, but it becomes a lot easier pill to swallow if it's Celebrimbor instead of Galadriel, just because we don't know as much about Celebrimbor. She's much younger, so it kind of makes sense for her to act more brashly. I think that's a great idea. What do you guys think? I think it would work pretty well. I also think Celebrimbor and Celebrimbor Celeborn should be in the show. All right. Did Rune really used to be green like this Tom Bombadil is claiming? We don't really get a whole lot of information on Rune, honestly. I don't even know if it's it's kind of open to interpretation. Like, is it as much desert as it's depicted here? Yeah, I kind of always thought that Harad would be a lot of desert because, they have the elephants and stuff. It seemed more likely to be desert. Like the east is kind of more eastern inspired. So I don't necessarily think that it would have been. So yeah, so I think that could be valid, that it was once green. Elephants do need a lot of food. That's true. But the elephants live in the desert, right? In Africa, I think. Christopher Carbaugh, thanks for another super chat. Have to admit, Rings and Realms breakdown on her name meaning Eleanor Brandyfoot and the eventual founding of the Shire made me care more for the Harfoots. I haven't seen that one. Elephants don't live in deserts? Oh, okay. My bad. There are elephants that live in the desert. Okay, right? I feel like there are. Yeah, okay. The savannah. Yeah, I don't know. I have to think on that a bit more. But yeah, I think Harad, at some point it like would kind of become more African in terms of geography and everything. Um Man, yeah, I don't know that knowing the meaning of Eleanor Brandyfoot or that they would eventually found the Shire will make me care anymore for the Harfoots, I have to say. There are some things, you know, it's like the heart knows what it wants, and the heart also knows what it doesn't want. And for me, the heart does not want hobbits in the second age. I just can't care about them. Nothing has convinced me otherwise. Ms. Mark, thank you so much for the super chat. If you had to pick the next blockbuster movie for Lord of the Rings, what would it be about? Hmm. Okay, so if Hunt for Gollum is primarily about Aragorn, I think that's a pretty solid pick. If it's like a character study about Gollum, I'm not as sold on it, and that would not be my top pick. Angmar War is pretty darn fun. Not for the Arnorians so much, but just as a story. It's a pretty good one. There's some potential things with like the early Rohirrim as well. We're getting War of the Rohirrim, but there's a story where their leader comes up against a dragon, which is kind of cool. Yeah. I think there's some fun things in the appendices there. Anonymous, I wish they had or will add a Melkor cameo in Rings of Power. So in season 1, we kind of saw like his silhouette in the two trees shot where the two trees were destroyed. I think that's probably the extent of what we will see. Just because, yeah, I don't think like it's one thing to show his silhouette and his shadow. But if you get to where you're actually depicting him, then you're crossing more heavily into those Silmarillion rights, which I would think the estate would want to hold on to until they're ready to sell like the Silmarillion rights as a whole. Like I know, this obviously they've said that they can get like one-off permission and stuff for things from other books like Unfinished Tales. We've seen some examples from Unfinished Tales. But yeah, I think something as big as like actually being the first to truly depict Morgoth, I think that's probably gonna stick with those Silmarillion rights. That just feels too big. Again, just my conjecture. I have no idea. But it feels like something that they would probably want to keep hand in hand with the Silmarillion rights. So yeah. All right. Crownless King became a member. Thank you so much. Bombadil seems cold and world weary, not jolly. Bad. Yeah, that's kind of what we said earlier. He needs more jolly in his life, for sure. Jonah Ferguson, love your channel since season 1. If Stranger is Gandalf, I feel like I would have enjoyed the show more if I had been blissfully ignorant of the lore. Yeah, I could see that. Like if you were just really the most casual fan, and not even necessarily the most casual, but if you were, just a person who likes fantasy and, maybe you've seen the movies, it's been a while, whatever. And then, you recognize Gandalf, you know the name. And so he turns out to be Gandalf, uh then I could see that not being as big of a deal, for sure. Anonymous, quick question on Lord of the Rings movies. Do you think it would be better if the hobbits were older like they were in the books? Again, that's one of those things where it kind of comes down to the logistics of filmmaking and film marketing, right? It's kind of, I don't know if it's exactly the same, but some of the same logic could be said for, having, and I'm not saying, that this was the logic behind Elijah Wood, but it's, I could see it probably being more marketable to have a 20-year-old as the lead on your poster instead of a 50-year-old like Frodo is in the books. I wouldn't mind it. I would still go watch it. But I get it. And it's the same vaguely the same logic, I think, where it's like, "Oh, let's have Gandalf because people know Gandalf." But we'll see how they both turn out. Elijah Wood worked pretty darn well as Frodo. Adam Zavrel, thank you so much for the super chat. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name there. Or I'm sorry, becoming a member. Yeah, that's true. 50-year-old hobbits don't look like 50-year-old humans. Matt Salem, what is Sauron's original form? Do we know what he looked like when he was created? Oh. Well, all of the Ainur, the Valar and the Maiar, their physical form isn't their natural form, so to speak. So we don't really know what any of them truly look like. We just sometimes we get hints at what their physical form is. And with all of them, like they're able to take on whatever shape they want, essentially. So yeah, it's kind of an open-ended question. Sorry, I'm not giving you a nice, hard, compact answer there. Yeah, but I mean, we know some of the forms that he did take, though. We know that he was at one point a Maya under Aule the smith, no doubt, where he probably learned some things that came in handy with making rings. We know that his shape shifting abilities, like he had a fair form, he had his dreadful like Morgoth 2.0 form, he could became a werewolf at one point, a serpent, a vampire. Like the guy was a man of many shapes. Janelle, this might be the last one before we get the episode going here. Is it out yet? Almost. Oh, I think it is. Okay, I'll answer this last question and then we will get rolling on here shortly. All right. Okay. Would you keep the Rings of Power cast for an Angmar movie? So here's the thing. For a movie, probably not, because if it's a movie, that means it would be made by Warner Brothers. If it's a TV show, presumably that would be made by Amazon. In which case, I would think that they would keep the same cast. That would make the most sense. I mean, personally, I'm not opposed to some of the casts, like crossing over. I just don't know what the likelihood of that is, because you're dealing with two different studios that are kind of, sort of playing in different corners of the sandbox kind of thing. and I don't know just logistically or realistically what the chances of that would be. Like, I don't know. Maybe if they wanted Elrond for something and Hugo Weaving turned it down, like would they bring in Robert Aramayo? I think Robert does a great job as Elrond. I really like Elrond in the show. But would they bring him over to the movie side, or like is that going to cause confusion? Because if they're going to be their own separate things, you start mixing in, picking and choosing, cherry picking actors to go back and forth. Like it gets messy really quick. Like it's already messy, but it gets even messier then. Yeah. So I think it depends on the medium, whether it's film or TV. So, all right, guys. Well, with that, looks like this episode 5 is called Halls of Stone. So that's of course a reference to the ring verse. 7, 7 for the dwarf lords and their halls of stone. All right, we'll count it down from 5. And we'll get rolling here, and then we'll chat about it. All right, 5, 4. Oh, wait, sorry. Psych, I need to pull up the timer. I messed that up. Hold on. Almost forgot the dang timer. There we go. Well, that's a really big timer. Let's get this a little more. Oh, gosh. Amateur hour. There we go. Okay. Now we've got the timer. Now we can go. 5, 4. Yeah, we'll let the recaps play. And here we go. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, we're still on the intro, guys. Folks asking in the chat. Yeah, Paste, I think the new ad art has done a really good job actually. I think a lot of people, you know, might not even realize that it's a different actor. It's harsh. Gotta drink every time there's a movie line. Finally. Oh. Ha! Take that, Malfoy. Do it. All right. That felt pretty solid to me, guys. That feels like, yeah, like I remember I'd said I thought episodes 1 through 3 were a very clear improvement over season 1, and last week I was super frustrated because it felt like a major step back into, like, some of the worst tendencies from season 1. Um, but yeah, no, I think that was a pretty darn solid episode. But yeah, vote in the poll what you guys thought. If you wanna leave your exact number, what number you have 1 through 10. Let me know. Pop that pop that in the chat there. Eastern Traveler, thank you so much for the super chat. Hello from Romania, the true Middle Earth. Nice. Romania. I wonder what time it is in Romania. Seeing a lot of 8s. Seems like a got a 9. We got a couple 10s, 7. Got a 3 in there. 6.5. A lot of 8s. 6, 7. 9.34. That's specific. 11. That's not even on the scale. Oh, Romania, it's 11 o'clock in the morning. Well, that's convenient for you guys. Yeah, I think yeah, the poll is definitely shaping up better than last episode. Um yeah, isn't it crazy like how much better the show flows without the Hobbit storyline? Like every time the hobbits come into play, I just again, this is just my 2 cents. Your mileage may vary, but for me, every time it just kind of grinds to a halt momentum wise. But yeah, man, I actually feel like a lot of the elements or some of the element yeah. No, a lot of the elements in this episode were good. They were also a little rushed. I saw a couple people commenting that in the chat as well. Um like for things to go this south in Numenor this fast, uh seems really quick. Like I feel like it really could have used more build up to that. Um like not that long ago, going back to season 1, not that long ago everyone was like cheering and really happy with Muriel. And things just like I still don't quite understand like why people seem to be surprised that like Numenorians died in a battle. Like you went to go fight in a war and like yes, Numenorian soldiers died. Like I don't see how that makes the whole country turn against her. Um or the whole kingdom. So for it to go from that to now we have the Kingsmen and the Faithful, which they did have before. Like in season 1 they mentioned the Faithful clearly aren't, you know, uh the group in power. They're not highly thought of, but we seem to go straight from that where it was like, oh, then the faithful, that's it's not really cool to follow the faithful. And then but then like Muriel and Elendil, they're like kind of being part of the faithful, and it seems like it's okay. And then to go from that to like this, where Muriel is imprisoned in her tower essentially, and all this stuff goes. It just seemed really fast. Also, Durin the Third's descent into like total cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs seemed pretty fast too. I have some thoughts on the dwarf rings too and how they work. I'm curious to see if anybody else here picked up on kind of the difference of approach of the dwarf rings here. Snowy, thanks for the super chat. Thought it was a great episode. They had a lot to get through, but plenty of cool moments in Numenor and Eregion. Seeing the greed of the dwarf ring was okie dokie. Was okay. Yeah, so my one and okay, so we'll get right into it. I kind of alluded that I would talk about it maybe later. But the dwarf ring like really makes him go into madness really fast. Which I think is really well acted by Peter Mullen, the guy who plays Durin the Third. He had some really good scenes in this episode. That being said, I do think they've kind of gone really heavy with the corruption element of the Seven. That's not really there in the books. So like in the books, it's the dwarves are not susceptible to corruption, but it does lead them to amass wealth, which ends up bringing ruin on them. So like I get the greed aspect. Like I don't think that's a crazy stretch to like have that fuel their greed. I think it would have been a bit more. I think it would have felt more right to me if we had previously seen Durin the Third have the capacity for greed. Like if he didn't seem so selfless in protecting his people all last season, like when Durin the Fourth was wanting to mine for Mithril and he wouldn't do it, and like Mithril was gonna be like super valuable, save people, like he puts his kingdom first. So for him to like just bam all of a sudden be whole hog for mining and then charging his own people like 50% tax, like that just seemed kind of just went straight off onto the bonkers train there. Yeah, I think the fall to greed was yeah, it was too quick, Connor. Yeah, it was too quick, or at least it wasn't set up. Like if in Durin the Fourth, I think even says to Celebrimbor, like that's not greed, isn't his way, kind of thing. Whereas like I think it would be more believable where if it were like like, oh, he likes shiny things, or or like he's he has this little bit of a greedy streak in him, but nothing like what we're seeing, where it just like the ring just amplifies your qualities, like for better or worse. So that's my 2 cents on that. Christopher Carbaugh, thanks again for the super chat. I enjoyed 4 more on rewatch, and 5 was just a banger. That was great. Solid pace. Everything connected well. 6, 7, 8 will be wild. Very hyped. Yeah, I think they're definitely setting up, like, I presume the battle will probably start next episode. Haven't they said that it's like a 2.5 episode battle or something like that? Or 3 episode battle? Yeah, like that's got to be coming soon because the orcs are right there. Vaninja K, Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. This show feels too slow and too fast. Hate teleporting, but great storytelling. Episode 5 feels like crafting of the one is shaping up for finale, maybe. Yeah, it is kind of weird, right? Like it feels too slow in some ways and too fast in others. Like some of these elements we're just like barreling through them. But then there's other times where you know the story can really drag. Like I don't think a whole lot has happened really with the hobbits and the stranger. Like there's been a little bit, like he met Tom Bombadil and stuff, but there's not been like that storyline in particular feels like it's kind of dragging. Um and then these other storylines are kind of being rushed now. But at the same time, like all through season 1, like I feel like season 1 we should have had more foundations for some of this stuff we're seeing in season 2. Ball rolls down the hall of a busy marketplace, leads to a mysterious cavern where a Balrog can roar and nobody hears it except Disa. I did laugh a little bit because I thought it looked like she took like a turn in the caverns there, and I was like, so the ball took a sharp right turn down the hallway. Yeah, that's such a movie thing, for such a cliche thing for something to get away from somebody and lead them to something. I wasn't sure. I thought it was the Watcher in the water. So let me know in the comments. Did you think it was Balrog or Watcher? Guys, comment Balrog or Watcher. I thought it was Watcher in the water, but maybe it was the Balrog roaring. By the way, we've got 41% say this was ranked a 7 or 8, 33% a 9 or a 10, and then 16% for 5 or 6, 11% 1 to 4. Definitely stronger than last episode. Yeah, I'm getting a lot of Watcher comments. I love it when I get like back-to-back Balrog for sure and Watcher for sure comments. Someone said that Adar is Celeborn. Get out of here. There's no way. But yes, thank you for this super chat. Yeah. It is an interesting, thing that happens in movies where something gets away from somebody and leads them to some crazy place, and it's always ridiculously far away. By my beard, that was a good episode. Greetings from Lincolnshire, UK. Thank you so much for the super chat, Mikey. Yeah, I think that was a pretty good episode, really. Yeah. I mean, as much as I didn't like last episode, I like this one for sure. What did I like most? Sean Eats Food asked, what did I like most? I still think that the Anatar Celebrimbor stuff is the strongest that the show has this season. Yeah. We'll see what else happens, but so far that's the highlight for me. That's the thing that like I was super disappointed and like honestly kind of ticked off that they skipped to the 3 rings in the end of season 1 because we're presumably losing the Anatar stuff. And like it's not the same. Like it's definitely different than the book version, because like in the books, obviously there's not the whole Halbrand thing. Yeah. And they're just making the rings for elves. It's not specifically for dwarves or specifically for men. So there's some contrivances here, possibly domino effects from like the 3 rings being forged early. But we're seeing Anatar manipulate the heck out of people, which is a huge thing that I wanted out of this show when it was announced. So as mad as I was at the end of season 1 that we didn't get any of that, I am glad that we're getting some version of that here at least. Numenor just doesn't feel like a real place with real people, feels like a set piece. I'm having very little emotional investment in the conflict there. It does, now that you mention that, it does still kind of suffer from the same thing of like, it feels like they're, it's this massive city, right? They showed this massive city, but then we only see like 4 interior rooms in the whole place. They have like the main courtroom. They had a pub last season that they used a few times. And then this episode we see 2 scenes, no, I guess there's just 1 scene, but it's the same that we saw in a previous episode where like they put Tar Palantir to rest, and then we're back at that same location, and it's like the oldest shrine and everything, and it's kind of small. Like, I think it's better this season, but last season I mentioned, one of the things that I felt like this show lacked was like the medium size shots. So you would get like these really big, beautiful vistas. You get these big panoramic, awesome wide shots of like cities and landscapes. And then we'd cut in and be like really kind of claustrophobic. And there wasn't much in the middle. I think it's a bit better this year on that, but it still kind of feels smallish at times. Yeah, I do still think we just need more of those in between. The in between shots to maybe help that feel bigger, and maybe with more extras and stuff. Like every big meeting in Numenor seems to happen with like 20 people present. Every big gathering. Yeah. Forrest Dean, thank you so much for joining as a member. Much appreciated. Also, Forrest Dean got a super chat here. I do love the Hobbits. However, the tone of the Hobbit scenes is a little incongruous with the other scenes. Thumbs up. Yeah, they do kind of go for a levity, I guess, in some of the scenes and stuff. Yeah, I'm glad that you like the Hobbits. I don't. I'll fully admit that I don't like them. I'm glad that you do, though. That's nice for you. Oh, I really don't like them. I just don't care. I just cannot care about them. Like, there's just nothing there for me that makes me want to care about that storyline. And so, yeah, I was pretty pumped that we didn't have to mess with that this week. I think that was part of the reason it went really smoothly. You didn't have that. Favorite thing about Rune is the theme. Yeah, the theme is one of the most unique, for sure. Charlie Moreno, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. It was a good episode, but so rushed. Seriously, the Balrog already? Yeah, we should talk about that. It was fine considering the time compression. Best part, Sauron and Celebrimbor. Okay, yeah, definitely agree. Sauron and Celebrimbor is the best. Yeah, the Balrog. Like, we seem to be heading, like, there's more hints that, like, last season we just got that like leaf thing, and then we got the Comic-Con trailer shot of the Balrog with the leaf catching on fire. And that was it. But we're getting like multiple hints now at the Balrog. And I'm just, I just, where the heck is this going? Like, how, like, they could destroy Khazad-dûm already? It's so early. Like I mean, unless here in the next couple episodes, they're also going to start mining Mithril like crazy. Like, how are they going to get to that point? Yeah, it feels really early for the Balrog. Jamart, thanks for super chat. Why do I feel more for Haldir's death in Lord of the Rings compared to Valandil's death? Maybe not strong connection yet with Numenor. Feel Elendil I like a lot. I agree. I really like Elendil too. I'm curious to see what he goes through in the next few episodes. Now that he's arrested and everything. Yeah. I feel like Elendil is, you know, he's like the great man of the Second Age, you know? Like Heir of Isildur gets thrown around a lot with Aragorn, but Heir of Elendil has even more meaning to it and more oomph, I feel like, in the books, especially. Like it's the banner that Aragorn unfurls at the Pelennor Fields is the standard of Elendil. Yeah. So I hope Lloyd Owen gets some good stuff to work with, and that like like I hope he, like, you know, we've seen him kind of go through some stuff. Obviously his daughter is like on the insane train. Yeah. I think she'll probably go swimming later in a later season. But I'm hoping that Elendil gets to show us, like, I don't know. I want to see the greatness, the potential greatness of men in Elendil. That's what I want to see. Michael Rasp, thank you so much for the super chat. Do people want to watch traveling in shows? I mean, they have entire shows dedicated to traveling. They have traveling shows, so maybe. I don't know if they necessarily want to watch traveling, but I think this you're probably speaking to like the fast travel that I saw some folks commenting about. Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily that we want to watch like 5 minutes of a 5-minute montage of someone walking, but the distances should feel consequential if it's going to make the world feel real, I think. It just kind of undermines the world building a bit when you have seeming fast travel. So like, for example, and I might have to rewatch to get a good grasp on this particular example, but for like one example is like Elrond's company, you know, how much screen time did it take for them to get to where they were? And then how much screen time does it get him to back to Gil-galad? And not necessarily him on screen, but just like time passing in the show. Like, I think that one was actually probably okay, just from initial vibe check. But Khazad-dûm and Eregion, especially, as far as repeat offenders, has a lot of fast travel elements. Like Durin the Fourth in this, like the last couple episodes that he's been in, has just ping ponged between Khazad-dûm and Eregion like crazy. And I think that's one of those fast travel elements where it's like, make up your mind, like how far away is Khazad-dûm? Because we keep seeing people just like stroll there or just show up there really quickly, and next thing you know, he's right right back. Yeah. And like, yeah, soothe. So sometimes it does seem, I don't know if it actually is or if it literally is, but it does kind of seem like in one scene, like it might even be back to back in this episode where Durin the fourth is talking to Celebrimbor and then boom, he's back in Khazad Dûm with his dad. Um, and it just makes it feel the world feel a little less big. It just makes the world feel smaller when people can just kind of teleport. Like that needs to feel substantial, especially if like I don't know who knows what's going to happen, but if the siege of Eregion takes place and they're calling for aid from allies, like how long is it going to take them to get there and stuff, like that's the kind of thing that if you build it up properly and like show that it takes time, then your audience can kind of feel the weight of that without you having to tell them, oh hey, it's going to take us 2 days to get there, because you've shown them all along the way how long it takes characters to get, in episode time. Like, oh, they left half an episode ago and they just showed up here. That kind of tells your audience it's going to take some time. And so when they set out to go help or something and join in a battle, oh crap, the next half of the episode, these guys are on their own. It just kind of gives you a framework to work with, which is helpful. Sorry, that was a long-winded answer to that, but Manos, thank you for the super chat. We're almost at the end of season 2, and it feels like there has been almost no progress with the stranger. Yeah. So that's kind of goes hand in hand with what I was saying a little bit ago. That storyline just kind of seems to be moving at a slower pace than just about all the others. I think I'd have to refresh my memory on the Isildur storyline. It might not have had a whole lot, but I think it's had less screen time too. And honestly, like that was a problem with the Stranger and the Hobbits last time around. Like it felt like, and again, it was because of like the Sauron mystery box, but because they needed the Stranger to be a candidate to be Sauron to like keep people guessing. But I feel like he could have been revealed to not be Sauron at least 2 or 3 episodes earlier in season 1. And they just kind of like kept repeating, I said this in my 12-minute, like super fast recap of season 1, how, oh, he does something, so maybe he's a good guy. Oh, but then this happens, so maybe he's a bad guy. And it just keeps going back and forth on that a crazy amount throughout the season. And they keep it going on for too long. So it's a storyline that kind of tends to drag a bit more and kind of spins its wheels, I'll say. Ulrika, thank you so much for the super chat. Do you think that Elendil is the Lord of Andunier in this adaptation? And why does he not use that to get out of trouble? Rest in peace, Valandil. I don't know if he is the Lord of Andunier. I think in season 1, there was some mention. I know that that's where his son Anarion is. So Isildur's brother, Anarion, is kind of estranged from the family, it sounds like. We get that hint in season 1. And it's kind of implied that he's on over to the west, on the west side of the island. Presumably Andunier. So maybe he is acting as Lord of Andunier, and Elendil, he became a sea captain or what, he's in the capital. Something like that. Yeah, that's a good point. His brother's presumed dead and he doesn't even show up. Yeah, like did they send word to Anarion, say like, hey, by the way, Isildur died in Middle Earth? It was really messed up. General Grievous 19. Yeah. Yeah, this is a 40K shirt. There we go. Yeah. Space Marine 2. Been playing that like crazy. It's really good. Yeah, I wonder if that'll come into play or not. It would be kind of cool if we got the Lord of Andunier and if we saw like a settlement of the faithful. Because right now they just kind of grab this group of 15 people. Like how many? That's another thing you can't quite grasp. Like, what's the ratio of Kingsmen to faithful in this show? Like, that's another way. Like, you can't really understand. Like, how does this stuff just kind of happen? How do the general population go along with this? Like, you don't get a sense for how many faithful there are. So maybe we can get over to Andunier at some point and find a bigger group of them or something. Warhammer World was great. It's always great. That's the second time I've been there. I'm very pumped that I've got to go there twice. Very cool. I'll share some pictures on Instagram probably tomorrow because I'll fall asleep after this. After I get a breakdown done, I'll fall asleep and sleep for a while. So maybe it'll be tomorrow night. But I'll post some cool pictures from Warhammer World. They had some displays of the new sets, the Angmar Arnor stuff, which was cool. Tyann, thank you so much for the super chat. For real, what is with Annatar's weird romantic obsession with Galadriel lookalikes? Dude definitely likes the blondes. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so I am refusing to buy into Sauron having a romantic obsession with Galadriel, even though that's totally what the show was implying last season. Yeah. I'm not a fan. Like, the Galadriel stuff is the most ridiculous thing to me. So ridiculous. My hope is that what is truly happening is that Sauron is just manipulating the crap out of everyone. He knows that this Murdania, I think is her name, this elf, that like saying she looks like Galadriel and like complimenting her hair. Like, Galadriel has famously amazing hair that reflects the light of the two trees. That's pretty big compliment. So I think he's just buttering her up and he's lying to her about the form that she saw. That was totally him that she saw in the unseen. Like Sauron has a presence in the unseen world. And that skin of fire with the merciless eyes and stuff, that's totally him. But he's manipulating her into thinking it's Celebrimbor and undermining Celebrimbor. So yeah, I don't think he has a romantic obsession here with this girl at all. I think he is totally playing her. Cesora became a member. Thank you so much, Cesora. Welcome. Oh, I still don't. Yeah. What do you guys think about? Yeah. So, Cronkus Lorne. Here, I'll get back, Mikey. I'll get to your super chat just here in a second. Cronkus Lorne in the chat says, "Don't a lot of elves have the ability to see into the unseen?" Yes. So I jotted a note down about this because, okay, so this Murdania girl, she goes into the unseen, right? She puts the ring on and she turns invisible to the to us, to the general room at large and everything. The thing is, like when you put on the ring, you are basically transported into the unseen world. You become visible in the unseen world. Which is why, like, when Frodo puts it on, he sees the ring wraiths in their true form in the unseen world, because they themselves have been brought into the unseen world and he sees them as they truly are. In this case, so they said, they kind of hinted at, we can safely kind of assume here that she saw Sauron in the unseen world. That was the guy with the fire and everything. Fire skin and merciless eyes. The funny thing is that yes, elves, certain elves also had presence in the unseen world, and we're told specifically that elves who had seen the light of the two trees, who had lived in Valinor, existed in both. So Celebrimbor actually exists in both. So theoretically, he should have been able to see her in that moment. Like she shouldn't have been invisible to his eyes, actually, because he also exists in the unseen world. So that when you think through, like, okay, what's this mean for the books? That would mean that Sauron would have also had to kind of cloak himself in the unseen world, presumably, since they both exist there. So there you go. Mikey Mnemonic, thank you so much for the super chat. Doors of Durin reveal and a watcher in the water. Wake up, Coinky Dink. I hadn't made that connection, but that's actually a really good point. Yeah. So maybe it was meant to be the watcher. That's what I was thinking. Cabin Pat, thank you so much for the £5 super chat. This was my first watch party, and despite the Prime ads getting in the way, I just wanted to say thanks, Matt. Well, thanks for joining, Pat. I'm glad that you could join a live stream. We have a fun time here. I won't say much more fun, but it's a little more enjoyable after what I think was a nice rebound episode, as opposed to last week when I was really super frustrated with the episode. Parla Media, thanks so much for the super chat. Much more polished. Anatar's manipulation is done believably for the world. I don't mind the fast travel. It's just necessary. Tons of tension. Yeah, there's a lot of tension. I don't know if I'd say the fast travel is necessary. I think it would just require more careful planning on how often characters are ping-ponging around. Especially when you have like I'm pretty sure in the time that it took for Elrond and them to march out, how far out did they march? Maybe a week, a few days or something. Like I feel like Durin went back and forth to Eregion like 3 times, which is probably fairly close to the same distance. So yeah, I think they could still. I don't think it's as bad as some of the ones in season 1 that we saw that were really bad as far as fast travel. But yeah, that Eregion to Khazad-dûm, it's like they have one of those bullet trains. I think they have a bullet train from Khazad-dûm to Eregion. That's the only explanation. Yeah, Anatar's manipulation is done believably for the world. Yeah, I think his manipulation's been pretty good. I was watching so one of the channels here on the YouTubes that I enjoy watching is John Campea show, and they were talking, I think it was Chris Carr, one of the folks on there. She was talking about how in season 2, like the character choices make sense more than in season 1. Like season 1, especially, I feel like this is just me adding on to it, but I feel like Galadriel, especially, like they're just these irrational decisions, and like it felt more like trying to get to plot points um rather than it being natural decisions of what the characters would actually decide. And like, they went on to point out how things are like cause and effect are happening because of decisions that make a lot more sense than in season one. So yeah, I'm curious if you guys, you should check that out. It's like I said, John Campea show. They have a good discussion on stuff, and they were talking about Rings of Power yesterday or today. Dubs on the mic. Thank you so much for the $10 super chat. If they added more on-screen travel, slowed and improved the dialogue to build tension and push the episodes to around 12 per season, all episodes easily go up to 8 out of 10. As of now, 5 at best. Yeah. Yeah, there were rumors at one time that season 1 was going to be 10 episodes, I thought. That's been a couple years now, so I might be misremembering. Yeah, the tricky thing is like, there's also those storylines that seem to drag where it's like, like the stranger stuff. Like I feel like that could be moving at a faster clip. So it doesn't necessarily need more screen time, but things like Anatar and Celebrimbor, we've only got a few episodes left. That feels like it might be a really short time to have for that whole storyline. So it's kind of an odd thing with this show, I feel like, where it's slow but yet fast. And yeah, it depends. You kind of have to take it an element, each element or each storyline or something, and like judge each one of those based on whether it's going too fast, too slow. um because it kind of depends, and it depends on the episode. Remorse, thank you so much for the 10-pound super chat. The potential is there now for Anarion to show up and redeem himself to his father. I also think Aarion will 100% die in the sink, as she's a made-up character for the show only anyway, just adds depth. Yeah, I think I okay, so yeah, Valendil, I was a little sad, I guess, when he died. I was more mad at Kemen than I was sad about Valendil, though, I think, just because Kemen is like just the slimiest little D-bag, he's just the worst. Like I just want him to like meet that really sticky end from that creepy story that his dad was telling, or really awkward story, I should say, that his dad was telling. Um, but yeah, no, I think Aarion will probably bite the dust. What I was getting at with like Valendil and stuff, I think, this is a show in season 1. I made the point, like there was just too many characters. Like they were trying to have too many characters, too many storylines, and it really worked to the detriment of the storylines that were strong. Um, because the ones that were weak really weighed down the ones that were strong. And I think having fewer characters could have helped that, and fewer storylines. Like I said, the Hobbits and Stranger could be cut out of the show entirely, and it would not make a difference to the rest of the plot. Which isn't great, I think, because then at that point you kind of have like a spin-off show within your show. But it's not even really a spin-off because it doesn't connect. So yeah, it just feels like a disconnected, like a separate show happening within this show. Yeah, it's kind of odd. But yes, I think Aarion will probably, if I had to guess, be taking the Great Swim. Yeah, because I just think it it feels like a good trajectory for her and Elendil's relationship. Like Elendil's not getting killed off. Spoiler alert, he's not getting killed off before Aarion does, I don't think. I just don't see that. Yeah. There you go. That's my 2 cents. Tolkien's Realm, thoughts on Galadriel teaming up with the orcs? That would be kind of weird if she did, right? What do you guys think? Like, so I just released a video earlier today, I think it was. Wasn't it? Was it earlier today or was it yesterday? My days are blending together here. Oh, it was today. On like the orc women, children, and families thing. Um, going like way deeper in the lore than maybe some would wish to go for a topic about orcs, uh, orc families and breeding, but I thought it was interesting, so I shared it. Uh, but yeah, the idea that like I feel like elves teaming up with orcs would be even more bizarre than showing sympathetic orcs. Right? What do you guys think? Like elves teaming up with orcs, does that not just seem really weird? David says a very brief team up. Hopefully Galadriel can save the orc babies. uh yeah, right? It's weird. If it would feel weird. Especially like all these orcs have done like terrible things to the elves, like in Arondir and everything. Like, yeah. You think she would use Adar to get to Sauron, not really teaming up. We'll see. She and Lady Orc can braid each other's hair. Maybe. Hers is already braided. She's got it in the crown, right? Oh no, because they were about to cut it off. So I guess it's not in the crown anymore. Shoot. Where is Celeborn? Any theories? Heck if I know. Oh my gosh. I'm ready for him to show up though. Like, what are we doing? We're almost at the end of season 2 and Celeborn's still missing? The heck is that? Parla Media fast travel, have Durin be really out of breath. There you go. Even that. Or if he like took a horse, but they don't, the dwarves don't seem to take horses. They walk. So yeah, I've seen this. I think this was a theory back in season 1 too. The Adar equals deformed Celeborn. I don't think so. That would be weird. And plus that'd be way too recent, right? Like didn't in one of the previous episodes here, Adar talk about becoming an orc at the hands of Morgoth and stuff, and it seemed much more recent than that that Celeborn was lost. Yeah, I don't think so. Nah. Very dangerous over short distances. Celeborn will show up. Galadriel's actress talked about it already. Yeah, I did see that. Parmigiano. Yeah, I saw Morvith Clark. I liked what she said because she said something about. Oh, gosh, now I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was something about like that he could play a role in her like finding a part of herself that she's lost, kind of thing, which I think is a nice. It's a nice thought. I feel like that. Yeah, I feel like that could be nice. It would be nice for Celeborn to come back, though. Oh yeah, he's like the missing piece. The return of her piece. Yeah. Those sound like nice words. I'll go with that. Like I said earlier, she should rescue him. Yeah, I mean, if we knew where the heck he was, that would be great. Okay, you want to hear theory time? All right, you ready for theory time with Matt? All right. My theory, and I thought about doing a video on this, but I haven't done it yet just because it's been busy. So let me know if you guys think I should flesh this out in a video. But my theory is that what they might do, and people will go nuts for this because it'll be the second time that this character has been swapped out for somebody. But my theory is that perhaps Celeborn will take Glorfindel's place and be sent back from death as an emissary in the Second Age. That's my thought. So we'll see. It's just a theory. So what do you guys think? Would you guys, do you guys want to see me do, should I do a video on that? Glorfindel lives in our hearts anyway. Right? Yeah, it's kind of a bummer for Glorfindel. But like I also kind of think like it could make sense. I know, right? Glorfindel can't catch a break. It's true. Crownless King, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. We'll move on from my theory time. The common thread of the rings amplifying existing ability through some manner of sight is interesting. Foresight, sight into the mountains, sight into the unseen world. Thoughts? Oh, that is kind of interesting. Yeah, because Durin does say that he can see everything, like all the riches and jewels and everything. I don't know how much seeing into the unseen world helps the men, though. Yeah. I don't know if that's helpful. Like, I mean, them disappearing, is helpful for sneaking around and stuff. It's an interesting connection, though. Yeah, I'm very curious what will happen when the men get their rings. Like, are they just gonna walk around invisible all the time? Or are they gonna like seeing how fast this went with Durin makes me wonder if the ring wraiths will be much faster. Because it probably would take like decades for them to age and because they just kind of keep existing. They just turn into wraiths. Kind of like it's what would have eventually happened, with like Gollum and Frodo and everything. Yeah. But I could see them going for the like almost immediate wraith thing, or like over the course of a very short period of time, they put the rings on and like their faces start shriveling up and everything. Yeah, they shouldn't turn into wraiths until Sauron makes the one. I'm very curious to see if Sauron makes the one this season. Like he's in Eregion now. It's a pretty great moment in the books when Sauron makes the ring and it says that the elves hear the ring verse that he's saying as he puts the ring on in the black speech. That would be pretty legit. Like that would be a pretty great way. I love the visual of that being the way Celebrimbor learns that he's been duped. If you think about it, like all the other people who have rings already know, like the other elves already know that the duping has been going on. So like if they hold off on forging the one, then nobody's really going to be duped when it comes around, right? Yeah. Sorry, random train of thought there. Tyann, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Do you think they'll introduce Celebrimbor in the show? I mean, they have to, right? Wish it followed lore just a bit closer to the books. Definitely. That's a romance I could be down with. Elrond and his wifey. Yeah, that's like that's kind of that goes hand in hand with the idea of what if Morvith Clark was playing Celebrimbor instead of Galadriel? Like you could have a legit romance that's not some made up weird stuff, you know? You could have Elrond falling in love with Celebrimbor and, you know, her more brash attitude kind of makes a lot more sense for, Galadriel's daughter, who's much younger. We don't know a whole lot about her, so there's some flexibility there. Like she can be more brash and less wise because there's that flexibility there. We don't have that rigidness. Like we don't have these great descriptions of this character that we have to stack it up against, right? Remorse, thank you so much. Big dono coming from me during the last ep watch party. By the way, Matt, I'll save it for then, but without killing the vibe too much, your videos have saved my life many times. I'll forever appreciate everything you do. Man, wow. Man, thank you so much for the super chat. I'm glad that these videos could be an outlet or an encouragement for you. Yeah, I hope that everything's good and like, if you need to talk to someone about, issues and stuff, like definitely uh you know make sure you're talking with your loved ones and stuff, man. I'm glad that my videos could be a resource and help you through difficult times from the sounds of it. But yeah, don't be afraid to reach out to professional folks if you feel like you need to take that step, man. Don't there's no shame in that, and it's mental health is an important thing. I'm going off just a little bit of context here, so I don't know what I might be extrapolating from. I might be totally off base, but man, take care of yourself, and yeah, my videos will always be here for you, and yeah, hope you take good care of yourself. All right, let me see. Durin's Bane. Let's talk about Durin's Bane. Yeah, we're getting heavy indications that something is brewing. Yeah, so if you let's see here. Where was the question? Oh, okay. Do you think Durin's Bane will be based on Durin the Third at a time even Durin the Fourth is still a prince instead of Durin the Sixth? Yeah, so Durin the Sixth is actually the one who gets killed by the Balrog. So we are like 3 Durins away as far as kings go from when the Balrog should be slaying dwarven kings. We're so early for the Balrog, guys. The Balrog shows up in 1980 of the Third Age, and they are currently around 1,000 years, but could also be interpreted as like, 2,200 years or 3,400 years, something like that, into the Second Age. Either way, it's like a minimum of 2,000 years early. Yeah, I can't help but think that they're just gonna throw the fall of Khazad-dûm in here somewhere. It's early, but they need to condense timelines. No, not to that extent, honestly. Like, Khazad-dûm survives all through the Second Age, and the dwarves actually play a role. There's not a ton of them, but the dwarves play a role in the Last Alliance. So, like, can that happen if they're almost completely destroyed and everything? Like, Khazad-dûm is destroyed. Yeah. I don't know. I was really hoping that the Balrog and the fall of Khazad-dûm wouldn't happen here in the Second Age, just because there's so much time that could pass. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Durin the Third gets killed, just because he's going so crazy right now. Like, if one of them's gonna die, it's almost certainly gonna be Durin the Third. And if he does, then we'll only have one Durin, as things were meant to be. So we can get back to only having one Durin at a time. And yes, I will continue to beat that drum. There should only ever be one Durin at a time, because they are reincarnations. You can't have two reincarnations of the same person at the same time. It's not how it works, guys. It's not how it works. Attila the Hun says Durin the Third dies and Durin the Fourth goes with the Last Alliance. I feel like that's a pretty good guess. Would not surprise me. Durin the Fifth should have been Narvi, in my opinion. Did you mean Durin the Fourth? Like, but one of the Durins, I guess, should have been Narvi. Yeah, that makes sense. Connor Flattery. We need more time for the greed to set in before Durin's Bane comes in swinging. Yeah. Yeah, and I think it could have benefited from a more steady decline with the whole descent into greed and everything. Yeah, because like everybody else there is kind of seeing how crazy this ring is making him, which makes me think, like, how are the dwarves going to react to this? Because presumably they're all going to know that it's because of the ring. Like, even Narvi notices it's because of the ring. Durin knows it's because of the ring. Disa knows it's because of the ring. Why would the dwarves continue to pass down their rings through generations if they all know that they're really bad? You know? Like, so if you, this was something that was actually in the Hobbit films in the extended edition. Durin the Third, no, sorry, not Durin the Third. The ring that Durin the Third has in this show is the same ring that Thorin's dad, Thrain, gets taken from him in Dol Guldur. And they actually depicted that in the extended edition, where he's missing a finger, and that's because his ring got taken. They work in a little bit with the Ring of Thror, as it's called then. So yeah, like, why would that ring get passed down generation to generation? Like, you would think Durin the Fourth would put an end to that, right? And Narvi and like, all these folks who know that the ring is bad news, and all the rings are bad news. Like, if this is happening in all the dwarf kingdom, like I feel like the rings would be very short-lived. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know how that's gonna work. But we've got 3 more episodes this season to see what they do with it. And we'll see where they leave off with it. Yeah. I think that was all the notes that I had. Yeah. Also, they had the Nienna statue was the one that got thrown down and shattered. Nienna, the Vala of sorrow and pity. Very big into Gandalf's backstory, by the way, Nienna. I think I've done a video on Nienna. You should check it out. It's good stuff. Yeah, a very, very formative Vala for a lot of great moments with Gandalf, where you can see her touch on the way that he interacts with people. Yeah. Who's my favorite Ainur? Well, now Nienna is fresh on my mind. I think moments of pity are pretty important and pretty. They have a great message to them, and they too often get cut out of adaptations. Like there's a few, and I've given this example on my channel before, right? But like with the Scouring of the Shire not being in the films, you miss the just incredible pity that Frodo shows to Saruman. Like, the guy tries to kill him, and like he shows him pity. Saruman tries to kill him, and then he shows him pity again. And like you lose that, and it's like this just incredible pity for someone who has wronged you so badly. And fun fact, to like hop over to another franchise that also has wizards in it. The final Harry Potter book has a similar thing where Harry Potter, at the end of the book, he tells Voldemort, he like, says, try to have some, what is it? Shoot. Try to like have some measure of it's on the tip of my tongue. Oh, like feel sorry for what you've done. Remorse. There we go. Try for some remorse. Like, he's giving him one last chance to possibly turn back. And it's like the total antithesis of what is cathartic in so many movies, where the good guy gets revenge at the end and like has a cool line as the bad guy plunges to his doom. And so I just think there's something beautiful and profound when heroes show pity toward villains at the end of stories. And we miss that a lot in adaptations. Yeah. So another side tangent. I digress. All right, guys. With that, I think we're gonna call a wrap on this week's watch party. We'll be right back here again, same time. Same time for episode 6. We've got 3 left in the season. Yeah. Well, let me know if you guys are watching this after the fact, or even you guys here in the chat. Leave it in the comments. Once we wrap up with the live chat, leave it in like the regular comments what you guys thought of this episode. Because I do read through a lot of the comments, not all the comments, but a lot of the comments I read through. I skim over some because there's some nasty ones out there, and they're better off not read when they're nasty. Don't mess with nasty comments. It's not good for your mental health. So yeah, Let me know in the comments what you guys thought of this episode. Did you think it was a bump up from last week's? Or are you like the opposite of me and you actually liked last week's more than this? You know where I stand. Let me know where you stand. Yeah, and we'll do it again next week, guys. It's been a blast. Be sure to hit the like button and all that good jazz. Hit subscribe, and I'm gonna get cracking on getting you guys a breakdown video of this episode where we'll look at all the references. And I'll go through more of my notes here. So yeah. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time on Nerd of the Rings.